So is this just one big Bitcoin fake out? Are we going to come crashing down and maybe into that 60k and below levels again? Now it's a new month, it's a new weekly closure and all that kind of stuff. We do need to look at it. So there's a lot of stuff happening this week that is quite important for policy, the dollar, and obviously Mr. Powell talking and stuff like that. There has been some good news, there has been some bad news, but I still personally believe we're going to be in a summer lull. The data kind of backs this up, but the data always states that in July, it can be a positive month. However, we've had a weak June. We could just bounce and then we might go lower. Might be an interesting quarter 3 into Q4. Just need a bit of patience. So hello, the first big news is that Sony are looking to launch a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency exchange. Now, you may have heard of Sony, just a small company over in Asia, Japan. Huge. Talked about it on Learning Crypto this morning. It is a massive, massive step. There's a lot of Asian exchanges anyway, so this is not unheard of, but it's more the name. Sony are a big name. In terms of the movie side of it, in terms of the gaming side of it, in terms of just overall product as a brand, Sony is massive. However, to rub you all up the wrong way and go, well, look what's happening also. The German government are also still, as of last week and the week before that, this week too, still selling some Bitcoin. So yeah, rough with this move, I'm afraid. If you've not yet done so, hit the like button and press the subscribe button. Cheers. Moving on though, into something very, very simple is the fact of, let me just move my camera a little bit, there we go. History suggests that Bitcoin is posed for a rebound in July, right? This is kind of the whole point of it. We have broke a level of structure. That's the top and bottom of it. We are below levels of support. We are now acting, therefore, as resistance of those levels, right? Kind of obvious, I know. So, for obvious reasons, I'm going to talk about this in more detail in a second, but we have had a bit of a shit, historically June, right? It's kind of obvious. Now, let me just show you this. When we look at the obvious here, so June is often a bit of a topsy-turvy kind of month anyways. It's a bit iffy. And we lost a bit of ground there. But July, on average, isn't too bad. There's a lot less losses in terms of the amount. There's also a lot more green as well in summer. Going into August is often very turmoil. September as well. My personal belief, and you all know it, is I feel we're going to have a bit of a boring Q3. This data kind of somewhat could back it up. Going into August, going into September could be very, very interesting. Look at how bullish October can be. Look at how strong some of the months are in November, December as well. Whereas September, very red. August is very iffy with some very strong months, but also a lot of strong reds as well, but more reds than green. So yeah, this could be very, very interesting. It kind of ties up perfectly with the fact of history. Whenever they're doing one thing, they do the opposite. So maybe we do get a stronger July, but it might well just bounce directly into resistance, and that could be where the problem lies. Other news talking about Vitalik and the SEC and MetaMask, etc. So the SEC have came out and stated that there's a load of lawsuits classifying cryptocurrencies as securities. And this is more notably towards MetaMask and Lido, Rocket Pool, basically liquid staking derivatives on Ethereum. This is very interesting. So, Vitalik's talked about this quite a lot, about how this is a very big issue. And he believes it's stifling the industry's growth and integrity. And it doesn't make, it too obvious to kind of state the obvious of, well, as soon as those passive income side staking rewards went off those ETF applications, things moved very, very quickly. Now, love it or hate it, I'm a massive fan of liquid staking derivatives. I think it's really, really good. Problem is, not everyone likes it, especially in the regulation side of it, because it's passive income and it's a bit different. Fuck off. So that sort of situation. So this one could be a rumbler over time. So be mindful when we're looking at stuff like this in terms of regulators and the cryptocurrency industry. This could, as I say, be a bit of a pain in the arse. So let's look at some technical analysis from other people for a change instead of my own. I'm fully on the belief, I say this with Rec Capital, that this could be pretty boring for a bit. Now, previous was 161 days consolidation. We're currently 77 right now. And we could go up to certain numbers around Q4 where we start ramping. Now, again, we talk about the 100-day consolidation around the halving and stuff like that, which is fair. It's boring, I know. But Bitcoin does have these horrible long consolidations, and we've had it all the way through 2024. We've had it, all the way through 2023. It's just boring. It's just the way it is. So be mindful of it, right? This is not different to anything we'd normally see. So that's probably a plot positive, isn't it? And another bit of pretty exciting, I wouldn't say too exciting, but I don't want to get you looking too bullish, but this whole time element of potential range lows into a consolidation range continuing for another 100 days or whatever, the US money supply with Bitcoin and stuff like that made a new all-time high in 6.5 years. Going back in time, 6.5 years was a pretty crazy ICO boom. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but what I am saying is this. It feels like the timing is right if you're going to look at it. And what is said here, this cycle will make 2021 look like a tea party. Now, I've said this before, 2021 was okay, but nothing like the previous one. In terms of money coming in, it wasn't as crazy. We might well get that money coming in because this M1 money supply is where composed of currency, demand deposit, and other liquid deposits, which includes saving deposits, right? We could be going into a sketchy period of history with a potential recession. What are people going to do with their money? Inflation and deflation, all that. There's a lot of things that are if, buts, maybes, obviously. But if they do look at likes of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as an alternative asset, and we've got the ETFs and the vehicle to do that, that could lead to more money going into crypto than we think would have went in the past. Naturally, people put them into gold, silver, whatever. This could be an option. Also, structure-wise, it's flipped a level of resistance. So first things first, let's look at the weekly Bitcoin chart. Now, this is where we're at. Not the greatest of time periods, certainly since February onwards, it's been really shit. Honestly, it has. This candle isn't the greatest neither. Kind of gives you a little bit of a vibe that we are going to continue going down, in my opinion. It'll be very interesting to see where we go. This whole level here, in my opinion, is going to be the interesting point. We've broken that level, change of character, whatever you want to know it as. It has bounced to this level. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if we go and retest it again, right? I know people hate seeing that. When we look at the monthly, you can see how hard and, how boring it has been realistically for Bitcoin holders. And, it's nothing too crazy, but it's just a reality. My firm belief is we're going to go lower first and then we're going to go higher, right? We're going to correct. Why am I saying that? The correction of this move is probably more required than anything before. This has held up a few times. I feel personally, not financial advice, there's going to be more liquidity and more buyers around this area, around this 55, 51, 52K level versus what you're going to get at 60, unless something massive happens in the news that's going to change people and make them flip very, very quickly. That, though, probably unlikely at the moment. But it's very, very interesting to know. Other things to talk about with Bitcoin, obviously in the daily time frame, you can look at this and you can see this. It's pretty boring. And we have, again, rejected the EMA 21 on the daily. We have pulled back quite aggressively. We are pretty bearish. And this is all the way at levels of certain situations where we talked about it 2 years ago, literally, like craziness, in terms of the RSI, in terms of the level of numbers that we're at. But yeah, we're going to bounce. But we're going to bounce right into the hand of the bears. Quite possibly. By the way, if any of this is a bit crazy, check out the links below to Learning Crypto. They will be very, very soon an offer for a much, much bigger discount. If you want to learn more about technical analysis, if you want to get more in the loop, that will help you. But anyways, let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum, again, has hit levels of resistance. And I think we could go in towards these levels anyways and look for a rejection. With the lawsuit information coming out, with obviously other things selling, it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, well, will we get above that level? Again, you look at the weekly time frame, a bit stronger you may add versus Bitcoin. But the reality is here, this 3,600 level could well be hit and it could well turn around. Or it might not even get there. What is interesting though, and the worst and ugliest looking chart I've seen ever, is currently the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is a weekly time frame on dominance, and you can see ever since like October 2023, give or take, We have been at around these range levels here. We've been pulling back and forward. Then we got above it in April and we've been holding this level, right? Now where we are. What's interesting is the dominance hasn't been doing crazy things. It's just been slowly moving. That will eventually change. I know it's boring, but the main weight of this is obviously Ethereum. This is Ethereum in terms of Ethereum.d. We have bounced, broken structure, and we are currently going this way. But that's due to the ETF news. That was kind of a big thing. But other things have been falling. Again, others.d is starting to fall. We are in a bit of a downtrend here, and we are below the EMA 21. We could bounce back up into these regions, then continue going low into potential buy order zones again for you to buy in BTC some altcoins, which could be quite fun for a lot of people. By the way, with dominance on my Patreon, I do a video most Fridays in much more detail about that and Bitcoin. So if I've glanced over that a bit too quick, sorry. What is very interesting is the dollar. Now, the dollar is somewhat stuck. Go down to the daily time frame, you can see a bit of a rejection here, right? And I've been talking in previous videos about this, going, right, we're up to these regions, what could happen next? If this does fall and we go low again, that could be very good for crypto in the short term. But there's a lot of policy elements that could come out that could weaken or strengthen the dollar. We want a weak dollar, which will obviously increase our kind of situation with crypto. Monthly time frame, though, look at this. Look how horrible this looks. We're in this sort of situation where we're kind of stuck in this region, 105 levels. And if we do go down to these lows, it'll be very good. You know, it kind of makes sense in terms of how, you know, Bitcoin got very strong around these December levels in terms of the push. And then we continue going much further into this period here. So yeah, we have to be somewhat careful to what the dollar is doing, especially with Asia. And the final thing we need to talk about is the obvious here. Look at how strong that monthly candle is. Look at how strong this weekly has been as well, going all the way up to these levels. And we've kind of stopped and turned around a little bit and got a bit stuck. This is the S&P 500, obviously with Nvidia and stuff doing very well. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. Are we going to get above these levels? Are we going to continue? Or are we just going to actually just correct a little bit and find a new cycle low? Would not shock me in the slightest if we go down to this 618 level, which looks like a very interesting zone. Again, we're going to have market lulls, market lows, whatever you want to know it as. So yeah. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest. This is starting to show signs of weakness. This could get very interesting. It might have another spurt up, but eventually it's going to correct. There we go. Super simple. A bit of an iffy period, you may probably say. In my opinion, I think we are going to go towards levels of resistance and we may well slow down a bit. But opportunities are going to appear. The news is still good in most parts. It's just the way it is. This time is not different, I'm afraid.